I owe podcasting everything. Everything. It gave me new purpose when, bro, I was under federal indictment. I lost my business. I had no money. I had no purpose. None of my friends were at my side. So we walk over and we look. And you saw him in his bed and he was dead. Dead. Like you couldn't. If it can be taken from you and it can be replaced, it's worth nothing.
Ride with the hammer, real life Montana. But not rocking no bandana. Rifle only rock bananas. Drop a 4 up in the fan.
And we're back. Welcome back, folks. Another episode. This time on Air with Air with a very, very special guest, Mr. Nelson Rodriguez, aka Montana Method, in the house.
What's up, Mike?
Y'all make sure you get your copy. Out now everywhere. On Amazon. Also on Kindle. Speaking of which, I want to ask, you got the audio version out yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I dropped it the day I launched the book. I launched the book in March of 2022, and I dropped the audio book December 17, 2022. So
wow.
It's been out. Shout out to my good friend Richie Rich. We recorded it over in his studio. I think I describe the audiobook more as an audio experience because it's not really an audiobook. It's very different from most audiobooks. It has all original sounds, all original music, all original sound effects. Since it was produced by an artist, he threw his flavor in there, and it's unlike any audiobook you ever listen to. So.
More than just a book. It's almost a disservice to call it just a book.
It's definitely an experience.
Production.
For sure, yeah.
Incredible.
100%.
Bueno, my first real question I wanted to ask is the people, the world, the industry, the fans. Tony Montana himself probably wants to know. Why the Montana Method? And would you ever be open to changing it to the Rodriguez Rationale?
No. Hell no. The Rodriguez Rationale. That sounds like... The Rodriguez Rationale sounds like someone justifying why they broke the law.
The Rodriguez Rationale.
No, it's eternally the Montana Method, brother.
Eternal,
yeah. Montana Method. Tony Montana, he was my first inspiration in life.
First inspiration in life?
In life.
To cut somebody up nice for a green card? What did he inspire you to do?
He inspired me because he didn't take shit from nobody. He went out there and he got what he wanted, bro. He didn't give a fuck about nobody's opinions, what people thought of him, the cultural norms of society. He didn't care. He knew what he wanted. He went out and he got it. Now, mind you, I'm not condoning drug dealing. I'm not condoning murdering people. But aside from that, you have to admire the guy. The guy showed up on a boat with holes in his shoes, lived in a tent, and a year and a half later was the most powerful drug lord in North America. You know what I mean? Like, people think, oh, yeah, but he was a drug dealer. Does that disqualify the amazing qualities that he had? No. Why do you think people love and worship mobsters? Because the things these people are able to accomplish, it's like, bro, they make all this money and they have amassed all this power. They choose bad. They take it in the wrong way. But if Tony Montana had been a corporate guy, he'd be bigger than Elon Musk.
Still on coke, though, for sure.
Hey, probably, you know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a powerful story. As a Cuban, I kind of I love the movie. Definitely, entertainment wise, the entertainment value is definitely there. But as I get older, I kind of feel complejado with the movie because it kind of paints Cubans in a certain way where they all think we're all these fucking marielitos and we all cut somebody up nice for a green card or we're all drug dealers. And don't get me wrong, there are Cubans like that. There are all kinds of people like that in the world, not just based on one specific race. Pero it's just, and then también too, it's like the guy barely speaks Spanish in the whole movie, so it's like, you know, but hey, shout out. Is that your favorite Al Pacino role of all his movies?
I'd have to say so, bro. It's either that or Michael Corleone. I mean, who else? Obviously, he has one-offs that are amazing, like Heat.
That's what I'm saying.
Heat is an amazing... Heat is a top 10 movie all time. All time.
Yeah.
With De Niro and Pacino in the same movie. Bro, that scene when they're in the cafeteria and he's like, brother, I will take you down. You know what I mean? Like, bro, that's on another level. But if we're talking characters, yeah, bro. It's Tony Montana and Michael Corleone. That's nothing can top that.
Iconic characters.
You know how many people say The Godfather is the greatest movie ever made?
Yeah, you like one of all three. That's the best one. I think 2's better than 1.
I like 2. I'm a 2 guy.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, I mean, but we're biased because it's basically a fictionalized version of the history of Cuba and all that stuff. So
that's why we like 2.
No, of course, yeah, I guess of course.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
But no, but you know why I like 2? because it's the ascension of power of Vito Corleone, but it's the descension of darkness of Michael Corleone.
Yeah, it's two stories at the same time.
Yeah, it's like you're seeing how the family became the most powerful family in the world of the mafia, but you're also seeing what that power does to a man at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's genius.
Yeah, and the way they presented the duality of success and the failure
Bro,
at the same
on
time.
another
Really,
level.
it's
Did you ever
crazy.
see The Offer, the TV show that called The Offer? I would highly recommend it.
About
the making.
Yeah, it's a
okay, yeah, and it's a scripted thing. No,
Yeah,
I haven't got into
it's-
it. My
it's-
dad told me a lot about it.
It's a TV show that shows you
The making of and how they got everybody
How it
involved.
almost didn't get made like 17 times. How the real mafia got involved in the making of the movie. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. I would
What's
highly
crazy about the real mafia is that they were so cool with. They loved Vito Corleone, and he was homosexual. He was there blowing Richard Pryor in Cuba, and they're like, it's okay because he's the Godfather. He's Vito Corleone.
Nah,
It's
yeah,
like,
I mean Vito Corleone.
anybody else is a rap.
Vito Corleone, the character, and what Marlon Brando did in that movie, and who Marlon Brando was as a person. It's two different things.
I think it's very important to separate the art from the artist
I
all
mean,
the time.
You have to look at Michael Jackson. You know
That's
what I mean?
my
That's-
number one example.
Yeah,
Number one
because
example.
I can't deny that Michael Jackson is the king of pop, and he's made some of the best records ever, if not the best, some of the best songs ever made. But I mean, but that's questionable.
I wouldn't leave my kids with Michael Jackson.
No, I wouldn't either.
Exactly. I love people that try to defend it. That's always my question to them. They go, yeah, but he didn't do that. He would never do that. No way. And I'm like, okay.
Even if he didn't do it, he's the perfect candidate. Let's put it
Homie,
that
why
way.
else would you have a fairground in your backyard?
Yeah,
why else
yeah.
would you have a theme park? And it's not
Nothing
even
was
like
ever
he's-
proved, quote unquote, but I definitely wouldn't leave my kids at Michael's house. Yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough. But yeah, you know what's funny though? The double standard. I love Michael Jackson songs. I can't listen to R. Kelly anymore.
I can't listen. Like, I'll bump him when it comes on.
Nah, I turn
I
it
believe
off.
I could fly is gangster. I believe I could fly.
That's maybe the only exception.
Fiesta with Jay-Z. Like, come on, there's a lot.
Rough.
There's
It's
a
rough
lot
for
of
me
good
because
ones.
he got convicted. He got convicted, and it's like, so it's different. It's like, yeah.
OJ did it. I think OJ did it. You think? he
Rest
didn't
in
get
peace,
convicted.
OJ. I did a whole episode about his death. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's the more recent one.
Rest in
That's
peace.
crazy.
Yeah. I think he did it too. But that's different. OJ's not a musician. He's not an actor. So it's just, that's just a relevant conversation topic. Like whether you think he did it or
I
not.
feel you, yeah.
Yeah. But
No,
yeah.
but I more brought that up in the sense of conviction doesn't not necessarily always mean you did it or not. Because people
Correct.
escape justice a lot, and justice is a very flawed system, unfortunately, not just in
Yeah.
America but worldwide.
100%.
But that's why I do believe in the universe and God. Because although OJ got away with it, if you look at the timeline of his life and all the things that happened to, all the things that he ran into,
Right.
he ended up getting charged for other things. He ended up having to steal his own memorabilia because he was doing
That's
so
why he
bad
ended up in prison,
financially,
ironically, right?
doing
That's
bad in
crazy.
prison, then ended up getting cancer because all stress. I believe one of the
crazy.
leading
Yeah.
reasons for cancer is stress. So all that leads to cancer. It's like, homie, if you didn't do that one thing. I saw a tweet recently that was like, if the Buffalo Bills had won a certain game in the playoffs, they wouldn't have got the first round draft pick that led
It's
to
crazy,
OJ,
right?
and then
Yeah.
he wouldn't have killed. And then
I'll take it.
it's all
Have
the
you ever
Bills'
seen?
fault. It's all the Buffalo Bills'
Speaking
fault.
of OJ, I talked about this on the podcast, on my episode of the podcast that I talked about OJ. If you've never seen The People versus OJ Simpson, American Crime
Incredible.
Story,
Oh my
incredible
God.
TV show, incredible, and
love
an
it.
all-star cast, all-star.
No, did you see the follow up of Versace?
I missed it, dog.
Oh, you can watch
I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it.
Just as good. Just
Bro,
as good.
you
If
had
not
John
better.
Travolta playing Shapiro the lawyer. You had, David
guy-
Schwimmer playing Robert Kardashian.
Ross,
No.
Ross
Like,
from Friends.
Bro,
Yeah, it's
like
incredible.
all-star cast, all-star.
Yeah,
It was nuts.
incredible.
Like,
Yeah. You said Cuba Gooding Jr., right? Yeah.
played OJ. Are you
OJ,
kidding me?
incredible. Yeah, incredible.
Bro,
Incredible cast, and I didn't live through that. That's you knew
It was
it.
no. It
Oh,
happened.
well, a
That
little
was
bit.
92, right? 1992 or 94. I don't remember. I always get it confused. But
Right around there. Yeah.
Either way, I was either just born or 2 years old, so I
Me
wasn't
too.
old enough.
I don't think I
But
was born yet. Yeah.
but like to see it in that account, and then you saw OJ's perspective. You saw the perspective from the people who thought he was guilty. You saw the perspective from the people who were experiencing racism. Like you saw all
The narratives
perspectives.
going on at the same time. How Ike Turner getting destroyed
Yes.
by the police. And
Yes.
No, not Ike Turner.
No, no, no,
Rodney.
no.
Rodney
King.
Rodney King getting
Yeah,
destroyed
and
by
the riots,
the police.
the riots that happened, bro.
The riots. You saw how it all played into
Amazing.
Johnny Cochran using that as narratives. And then
Bro.
if the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
Whoever
Incredible.
made that series, kudos to you. Like it came out so good, all-star cast. I didn't know the Kardashians were so heavily tied to pop culture in America.
That's where it
You know what I
started.
mean? Like,
yeah. They say OJ is the father of Khloe Kardashian. If you look at the stats, and it makes sense. If you look at all the Kardashians side by side lined up,
She's the only
she
one that
stands
looks
out. She's like the only
different.
one that's tall, big. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
where does that come from?
And then
Shout out to Chloe if you're listening, and we know you are. Come through, little mama.
I'll take any of the Kardashians. I'll take any of them. I'll take Chloe. It's Chloe,
Courtney,
Kylie, Kendall, and of course Kim. We can't forget Kim.
Yeah, the goat. Yeah.
You know what, bro?
Caitlyn too. You gotta throw Caitlyn Jenner in there too.
No. She's
basically
that's a Jenner. And
well, Kylie and Kendall too. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about the whole clan.
That's
yeah, we're talking about the whole roster.
No.
She's one of the girls too.
Can you believe Caitlyn Jenner, after he became a she, wanted to run as a Republican?
Didn't he win or she? She did it. He did it. He's crazy,
bro.
What trips me out is that he still likes girls. Welcome to the
reality show known as the United States of America. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is definitely a reality show.
It's crazy. It's like keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with Americans.
Keeping up with America. The whole world looks at it like that. It's definitely
crazy.
Imagine the aliens looking at the world. We're the most entertaining channel.
Bro,
like, let's tune into
that's
this
what
channel.
we are. The aliens. We're like, let's drop these humans off here, see how they do. You know what I mean? And then it just turned into like a total freak show, and they're eating popcorn every night, watching us.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely feels like a freak show sometimes in America.
Oh my god, bro! Don't even get me started.
Can you speak to the importance of pressure, dog?
Pressure? I eat pressure for breakfast.
I eat pressure for breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, elaborate.
People.
Any sides?
Most people, yeah, with a side of stress.
Yeah.
And a little dash of go fuck yourself. You know, just a little.
To yourself? Is that like you looking?
No, to life. To when obstacles come my way, like. So here's the difference between people who get what they want and people who don't, right? They all face the same obstacles. Like, people who have what they want in life didn't get like some sort of special road where they didn't experience divorce, cancer, or bankruptcy, or have a family member die. Like, all this shit that happens to someone else happened to them. The only difference is that the person who got what they wanted in life, bro, they didn't let those things hinder them. They ate it up, they swallowed it, and they kept moving forward. It's about progress. Now, slow progress is still progress. So, yeah, you got to take some time to, like, grieve over a death in the family or figure out a way to make this money to make this project work. Whatever you got to go through, you do it. But it's about progress at the end of the day, bro.
You have to fail forward. I was going to
100%.
ask you about that, too. And it's the importance of making mistakes and being okay with, trying.
100%,
and
bro.
A lot of people, I feel, in life spend many years of their life going to school, learning a trade, doing a profession, and then they don't realize their true passion until they're in their 40s or 50s, and they're scared to climb back down the mountain because it's like, oh, I got to learn again.
Right.
But the truth is, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience.
Exactly.
You're starting from a place where you did all
Correct.
this. You know what it takes to practice something, even though it wasn't the thing. People are scared to turn the other direction, and it's a tremendo complejo I feel like we all deal with, especially like me as an artist making music. I do music for passion, not for any monetary success or anything like that, but I've had times where I question myself. I'm like, should I be spending time doing something else? When I was younger, I haven't had those thoughts in a long time, and I'm so thankful. But it's just like, it all helps. It's all part of the process. It's all part of me as a whole.
You know what's a thought that helps me all the time, and I literally tell it to myself all the time, bro. Everyone deals with this kind of stuff. So why are you so special that you get to put everybody else in your life on hold and be like, no, I have to deal with this problem right now, and have a pity party? No, fuck that. People are depending on you, bro. There's people depending on you to get your shit together, show up.
Who am I to not? Who am I to not?
How do I have the nerve to sit here and say that my problems are more important than yours? They're not.
And you know what's crazy? Yeah, I just realized that too. And it's, who am I to be lazy? Who am I to not get these
100%.
thoughts off my chest? Who am I to not start a podcast? It took me a while to do it. It took me a while to be motivated and be like, okay, I see there's a level now. I see it's not just everybody kind of doing the same thing.
100%.
There's a certain level I could take it to and bring my own flavor to it and challenge myself.
Right.
And the truth is, now I realize it's like, who am I to wait so long? Who am I to not do a podcast? Who am I to not write a verse?
100%.
There's somebody out there that is dying to hear my perspective. There's somebody out there that might be needing to hear.
Right.
I've gone through depressions in my life, and if it wasn't for specific music and songs and artists and bars and lines and verses, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I just think back about that, and that's kind of how I made that conclusion in my head. I'm like, wow, if it wasn't for that person, like, you know, I wouldn't be here.
100%.
So I got to feel the same way about my craft and passion, because there's a reason I have this in me. There's a reason it's bottled up inside of me.
You took the words out of my mouth. I owe podcasting everything. Everything. It gave me new purpose when, bro, I was under federal indictment. I lost my business. I had no money. I had no purpose. None of my friends were at my side. Well, the ones that were by my side know who they are, but most of my friends scattered. Bro, when I got sentenced, it was my grandfather and my mom behind me. That's it. Sentence, bam, you're going to prison. I look back, 2 people behind me, bro. Like, I had to muster serious mental fortitude in those moments in my life. But guess what? They say prison is like the worst thing that can happen to a man, and I'm not dead. And I didn't die. So guess what? Now, nothing breaks me.
If it don't kill you, it makes you stronger.
100%. Because I went through the worst thing that a man can go through, and I'm here. So there's nothing that can break me except one thing, myself. You are your own worst obstacle, bro. Doesn't matter what comes your way. How big, whatever you think you're going through, it's bullshit. The only thing that can stop you is you, bro.
Facts.
150%. I'm telling you right now. I sat there and had conversations with people doing 30 years. People doing 20 years.
How long did you do, if you don't mind me asking?
I did 5 months, and I did the rest of my sentence on between house arrest and a halfway house.
Okay.
So I wasn't in long, but it was long enough to seriously get enough like wisdom and experience from people who were like, bro, I sat there with someone who had been in prison longer than I had been alive. You know what I mean? Like, that's
wow.
That's crazy. That's insane. Mind you, one of the nicest people you ever met in your life. He would take the shirt off his back if it's the last shirt he had. Like, these experiences made me question my beliefs. Like, bro, if I met this guy in the street and I knew he had gone to prison, I probably wouldn't even talk to him. Like, I wouldn't even acknowledge him. But since we're in here and in here we're the same, it changed a lot of things for me, man.
Perspective, the power of perspective is incredible.
Yeah.
POP.
150%. Perspective is huge.
And talk about perspective. Somehow you had the perspective to come up with a book and write an entire book and put it out before you got the time, right?
Yep.
Wow. Was that a strategic thing? Like, I got to put this out before I go in?
No, I sat down and I just had nothing to show for in my life, bro. I literally had nothing. My life fell apart overnight. I lost all the hard-earned money that I had made, spending it on lawyers and don't even get me started on attorneys. And I had my business. I lost it overnight. It got stolen from me, pretty much, because of my whole situation. I was working in healthcare, so because of the charges that were brought against me, I was banned in working in healthcare for the rest of my life. I didn't have a leg to stand on. I had nothing. I literally, that month, I was in vacation on Colombia. I had made a ton of money legally. Like, I was living the life I wanted to live. I was getting ready. I had a plan. I was going to take my company public. I was going to be a millionaire. I was ready. I had the plan. And overnight, boom, it was all gone. All the stuff I thought was important. My identity. I was an entrepreneur. I was a businessman. I was all these titles.
Taken from you.
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, is it really you if it could be taken from you like that?
Exactly. If it can be taken from you and it can be replaced, it's worth nothing.
And it's not really you. It's not who you are.
It's not who you are. Who you are is so much
dress
more
up. It's cosmetic.
Who you are is so much more than your career, who you hang around, where you live. All that shit is bullshit. I had to sit there and say, who am I? And really think about that question. And that's why I wrote my book.
Wow.
Yep.
So it was more like an exercise in self-reflection and kind of checking in with yourself and analyzing yourself and finding 100%. Yourself. That's incredible. Very powerful.
Definitely.
Very, very powerful. So what's the process like of writing the book? Do you go, how many rough drafts? Like, how does that start?
I wrote this in one shot, bro.
One take, Drake.
One take.
One take. No.
It just, the book, when people ask me, how do I write a book? The book is already written. You just have to put it on paper.
Put it on paper.
It's already written here.
So even like the sense of like structuring ideas, like knowing where it all goes.
Now I have an idea of, based on how I wrote this book, is how I came up with my system for writing. Like, this was basically the guinea pig, right? And now based on that book is how I came up with. I'm a outlining beast. I can outline anything. I can turn anything into an outline and like a 1, 2, 3 step process. that'll break it down for anybody.
I think it's the easiest way to look at things a lot of times, whether it be
100%.
movies,
Yeah.
you know, topics, you know, bullet points. Don't get me wrong, it's a general way, and at the end of the day, I prefer when things get more in depth and technical
Right.
and analytical.
Right.
Better, you could cover a lot more information, and you know, at the end of the
Right.
day, sometimes it's not about getting so in depth and technical.
100%.
So, yeah,
I have a client of mine that I'm doing some consulting for him on his project. He's writing a children's book. Like, I had never written anything in his life. Nothing. He just had the idea for the story. The story's written. He started 8 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago. I can break down and outline. I can outline anything, bro. You give me anything, and I'll tell you, all right, break. Because you know what it is with writing a book, making a song, making a movie, writing a script, starting a business. Everybody sees this gargantuan thing, this giant thing. Like, oh, my God. They see the Goliath in the room, right? And they're David. The mistake they make is they just look at the whole thing instead of saying, okay,
it's piece by piece.
boom, 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 boom. Exactly. So that's how my brain works with anything now. This taught me so much about life. It didn't just teach me. It wasn't just something to leave behind. Yeah, I accomplished all that. But this taught me how to do so many other things.
Incredible.
Taught me a lot, yeah.
That's awesome.
Every man should write a book.
Every man should write a book.
I told your dad he needs to write a book.
There's certain men that don't even know how to write
Yeah.
or read.
Hey.
You know who you are. If you're listening, and we know you are.
I mean, there's a reason
Playing
that
up. No, but the truth is, not everybody could, you know, is gonna be an author.
No, but everybody's got every man has a story.
Facts, but I feel like there's a lot of times where it's up to us. Nas has this famous commercial that I think is for a phone company or something, and like it's a scene where there's a bunch of people in a metro or something like that, in a train or a subway, and you hear Nas narrating. He's like, every time I see people's faces, I hear a different story. And, you know, it just starts doing like a sample of his music, you know. And I kind of feel like that about life. And not everybody has the power to tell their story, but sometimes people have a
But
powerful
they have a story.
Yeah, and somebody needs to tell it for them. Like kind of
okay.
like wrestling, to use a kind of a very simple analogy. But like, there's a lot of really dope wrestlers that they're not good on the mic. You know, that's like my favorite wrestler of all time is The Rock. Are you into like professional wrestling?
Huge.
Did you ever phase?
Well, I don't keep up. I recently started keeping up with it.
Oh, with the newer stuff, you mean?
Yeah, very recent.
But you liked it back in the day?
But I was during the Attitude Era. I was the biggest
Iconic.
wrestling fan on the planet.
Favorite or of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah, one.
Fuck.
If you had to
do
just
that
go
me, bro?
one. Yeah.
You're killing me, bro.
Just one. And you could change it in 5 minutes if you want, but just give me one right now.
I'd have to say like Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro.
That's dope. Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah,
I have a top 3 because I can never
give
pick.
me your 3. Balavinga, give me your 3.
It's Undertaker,
Fire.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and 3 is a tie between Triple H and The Rock.
Triple H, I think, is
Go.
GOAT.
What he's doing with the WWE now is crazy.
He's a legend. He took the
Nuts.
boss's daughter. How many guys could say, I took the entire
No,
company
and I
from...
took your job.
Yeah, he did everything. He did everything. He
I
literally
took
did
your daughter
everything.
and I took your job. No, but yeah, he's turning the WWE into something it could have never been without him.
Facts.
Yeah.
Incredible story, man. Yeah, my GOAT is The Rock, but he didn't spend enough time in wrestling, so I understand why people don't give it to him. But when it comes to pure talent, it's almost like how they feel about Allen Iverson, like or like, you know, Derrick
100%,
Rose, like it
100%.
was special for
Yeah.
that time. But I bring this all up to say it's like there's guys like The Undertaker who needed a Paul Heyman because they weren't good on the mic.
Yeah.
You feel me? There's people in the world that have tremendo stories, but they need somebody like Francis Ngannou. Are you familiar with the fighter? Great story.
That guy's story is crazy.
But it's hard to listen to those 2 hours of the Rogan podcast. It's hard. I haven't been able to
You
do
read
it.
my
It's
mind.
hard. It's hard.
They called me Vendom.
He
knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I play along for the first 30 minutes, but it's like, damn, I can't.
But his stories, somebody needs to buy the life rights to Francis Ngannou's story immediately. He's like, oh yeah, I have Idris Elba. Yeah, go get Idris Elba to play you.
Nah, he's
like,
way too small. You think
Idris Elba? No, he's tall
Francis
enough.
Ngannou's
Yeah,
monster.
he'll just,
I
bro,
don't know.
everybody's juicing
Bro,
in
he
Hollywood.
can play himself, though. That boy a gangster. No, he can't talk for anything.
No.
Yeah.
But Anthony Joshua just beat his ass, though.
That too.
Pobrecito. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So damn, that's crazy. I wanted to ask you about the audio version, but you already did that.
Yeah.
I actually thought about this because not everybody, because you have a powerful voice, so you know it kind of went hand in hand with
I've
you
been
doing
told.
an audio version.
I've been told. Yeah.
But imagine somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing an audio version for their book. I can't believe it.
Didn't he just come out with his book?
He did
it's
a
called,
book.
It's called Be Useful, right?
I believe so.
He was doing a whole podcast tour and everything.
Yeah, I believe so, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he did an audio version. I gotta check it out. But I can't
Can
imagine
you-
listening to him for 2 or 3 hours straight. So
When I wasn't doing chest flies, I was doing bench press. When I wasn't doing bench press, I was doing calf raises. You just eat the gym all day.
My journey in Hollywood started.
And then at the end of the day, I would get to the chopper.
Oh man, that's incredible. That's crazy.
Arnold's a goat. I don't
Yeah,
care
bro.
who's hating on Arnold. He's a goat, bro.
And
Goat.
speaking of goat and beasts, you're a beast too because you're also working on a comic book. Talk
I
to
am.
me about that.
Bro, it's what I hope to leave behind. It's what I hope to be remembered for. I have big ambitions for it.
The
And-
comic book.
Yeah.
Wow, more than the podcast, more than everything.
More
This
than
is
anything.
one
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Talk to me about that.
So that idea came to me in the middle of my indictment. Funny enough, I didn't. The writing. I had this idea. So I don't know if you're into comics or
Love
anything. Love them. Okay, so you might know that in recent years, comic books have taken a dump. The sales and because the stories just aren't really all that good for many reasons that I'll talk about another time. And I got frustrated. I was like, bro, these stories suck. They should like do them a certain way because. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write one. I want to stop complaining about it and I'm gonna make one.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Exactly. So, it's Cuban characters. Setting is Miami. It's going to be totally tied to our culture. It's more of an exposition of me and my people than anything else. I want to put us on the world stage. I want the world to see us in the biggest screen possible. I have big ambitions to turn it into a TV series one day. Maybe, who knows, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount.
Pick it up.
Yeah, so I wrote, the first issue is written and ready. I'm just looking for the right artist to collaborate with so they can draw it out for me.
The visuals. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so is there a title, the name for it?
Yeah, it's called Sanctified.
Sanctified.
Yeah.
Dope. And so fictional story, but based on Cubans. But like, is this like superheroes involved? Like,
Yeah,
is there
yeah.
powers?
Deities.
Deities.
Yeah.
Based on like Chango and the Santos.
Good guess, yeah.
Can we give a for those listening that maybe aren't familiar or
Sure.
educated, give them like a
little
little
background
breakdown on
sure.
what exactly we're talking about.
So, Afro-Cuban religion, there's an Afro-Cuban religion that the popular name is called Santeria, but it's called Lukumi or Arara, depending on what tribe, what Yoruba tribe you were from. And we, our ancestors, because pretty much all Cubans have African ancestors. There's a small percentage that probably have just like pure Spanish blood, but it's very small. Yeah, exactly. So when the Africans came over, obviously the colonization happened and they wanted to force them into Catholicism. What happened? The African slaves had their own beliefs and their own deities. So they would pretend they were praying to Catholic saints, but in reality they were praying to African saints. So in Catholic religion, there's Saint Barbara, Santa Barbara. For followers or religious believers in Santeria, that's Chango. La Virgen de la Regla, that would be Yemaya. La Caridad del Cobre, Our Lady of Charity, that would be Ochung. So basically, these Africans were still worshiping their own deities, but they were pretending, and that's where Santeria was born. The mixing of the two cultures. That's what Afro-Cuban Santeria is, or Lukumi.
And some of this dates back to Egypt.
The actual Yoruba religion.
No,
it predates the
Predates,
Egyptian.
predates
Yeah.
it.
This is like
Correct.
some of it. The oldest texts are like 10,000 years old.
wow.
Very old. Which is why I thought of the concept, because I actually thought about the origin of religion. Because the funny thing is, you go to every culture, you go to every all over the world, and the stories are the same.
Same story, different language.
Different language, and all they did was change the name of the person. So I'll give you a great example. Zeus,
I love it.
the
Yes.
Father God. Art in heaven, all that stuff.
What Santos Zeus? What would be the Santo version of?
Obadala.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you take it over to Norse mythology, it's Odin. Cagao. Like exactly the same Father God. All that shit. All right, I'll take it a step further. Hermes. It's like wow, bro. It's the same guy. It's the little brother. The fast one, the sneaky one. And then he's Loki over there with the Vikings. It's the same. And then he's Toph over there in Egypt. Bro, wherever you go, Ares. The prized son, the strong one, the god of war. He's Chango. El tipo Chango, the god of war, bro. It's the same guy. Let's go to Egypt. The Horus over there. The pretty boy, the son. He's Thor over there with the Vikings. Bro, I'm telling you, any one of them. Let's go with, who else? Poseidon. He's Olokung in Santeria, bro. It's the same guy. It's the same guy.
Crazy.
So
when you look at it like that, people, it's mind blowing. I could imagine somebody who's
bro,
familiar with the Saints their whole life, and then all these other entities and deities, and then they make the connection.
exactly the same. Shout out to my padrino Christian Lopez, Eloy Wodu. He's the one who kind of like mentored me and showed me these connections, and it made sense to me to write this comic book to show people our culture and everything, but also to make people understand that we're all very similar. So it's just bringing us to the world, bro. Miami is. It's not such a hidden gem anymore, but the Miami that's getting shown to the world is not Miami.
It's not Miami.
And I'm gonna show people the real Miami, the real Miami, our culture, who we are.
People think Miami, and I feel like they think South Beach, and it's like
no, they think fresh and fit. Excuse my French,
Those
una
guys
pila
are
puta que
fine,
vienen
man.
de fucking New York y California. It's like, oh, now all the women in Miami are OnlyFans models. So why are all the OnlyFans models
that's
that
a
live in
tourist
Miami?
platform. Yeah,
Bro.
those people have nothing to do with Miami. Those are all
Bro.
tourists, bro. Like,
Bro,
those-
they're all from Chicago, LA, New York. So it's like, oh, but Miami gets the stigma of being full of whores and degenerate. No, bro. All the people that are doing that in Miami are not from here. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
It's beautiful though because it's a melting pot, so it's hard to give it a specific identity as opposed to like an Iowa, Kansas.
True.
I'm sure you think of those people, it's a specific type of person you could maybe think of, but here it's hard. It's
Yeah.
that-
No, but it's
the beauty.
Miami's that rare. It's rare because Miami is that predominant Hispanic city. Even now, where Cubans are still the majority, but now you got the massive Venezuelan population. You know what I mean? You got that massive Central American population over there in Little Havana. It's always gonna be that kind of. And then now, of course, arguably we have a second golden era because you have people like Messi and Jeff Bezos and all these
It's
people.
a hot
moving.
spot, yeah. It's a hot
know?
spot.
So-
The whole muela with the crypto stuff, but a lot of people leaving New York. But it's just there's constant moving,
Yeah.
there's constant booming. But
Yeah.
speaking of Miami legends and people that have been in Miami, what's up with the follow book after the comic book? Or follow book first. What do you think the timeline is?
Yeah, I have the second book written out. It's not a continuation of this book. It's called The Soul of a Man. It's actually my diary from prison.
The Soul of a Man.
Yeah.
Wow. So a memoir of your times in there.
Yeah,
Stories.
I wrote multiple times a day, and it's verbatim what I wrote. Just obviously proofread and spell checked and all that stuff.
So what are you writing? Are you doing like daily affirmations? What do you like your journal? What's
it's
on your mind?
Observations of things that happen and thoughts that arise in my mind.
That are going on, things that are happening in
there. Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. Okay, can you give us like maybe a story to get us excited for the book? Doesn't have to be the whole thing. Don't gotta.
Somebody
give too
died in
much.
there.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you've seen a dead body before?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that your first time seeing a dead body?
No.
Like
I've
a
been to
dead body.
funerals.
Well,
I've been to
that's the
funerals.
thing. Yeah. To clarify,
Like see somebody dead in
in the
front
wild.
of you.
Yeah, in the wild,
yeah.
not in a
Yeah.
set presented to you.
It's pretty.
a
It's
certain
pretty
way.
crazy.
You saw the
I didn't
the
see him.
process
I didn't
of
see him
life
die, but
going
I
away?
saw him fresh, like he had just died, maybe a couple hours earlier.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was his old man named Dave. Rest in peace.
Natural causes. Do we gotta wait for the book to find out?
No, I'll tell you the story.
Oh,
So I'm here talking to one of my good friends, and this old man, Dan. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, Dan. Is
You just kill somebody else by accident.
yeah, it was because it's Dan and Dave in one room. Why would you put two people with almost the same name? So I swear to God, I can't make this up.
D
Two
squared.
old men named Dan.
It's the old guys with D.
So he walks over to us and he's like, "Hey G was the friend I was talking to. He's the head orderly. I think Dan's dead."
no.
And we look at him. We know he's not playing. Both of us, bro, our faces were like, because we're in prison at the end of the day, so we're just like, fuck. So we walk over and we look, and you saw him in his bed, and he was dead. Like you couldn't. There was
Damn,
no.
so natural causes then, right?
I'll tell you what happened. So the guy was old. He was physically like not there. Like he was feeling bad. He tried to go to the doctor like 3 or 4 times, and the doctor wouldn't see him because that's how it is in prison. They don't give a fuck about you, bro. They treat you like your property. So they were like, no, go sleep it off. No, yeah, whatever. They just wouldn't because they're fucking lazy and they're the
Don't wanna
worst.
help 'em.
You want to see the worst human behavior and the most apathy you've ever seen? Go look at prison guards. Go look at people who work in the prison system. They don't give a fuck, and they treat us like, bro, subhuman. That's why I'll never treat somebody like shit ever again in my life, because I know what it's like to get treated that way. And look at how God works. Sometimes you have to be like stripped of your own humanity to understand what humanity really is.
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, he never got treated, and I'm talking about this was days of him complaining to the doctor. So he didn't have to die, and then until one day he just didn't wake up. I don't know what happened.
You think he offed himself?
No. He died. Like his
just
body
from
gave out on him.
Problems.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
So it was crazy. It made us understand how. I'm pretty sure that all of us sat with our own mortality for a second. We understood that we could die at any moment, and
every day.
And we could die like him, where I don't even know if his family found out, bro. And knowing the prison system, how corrupt it is, God knows what they told him.
You said he was an old man. Maybe he didn't even have family.
It could be. Who knows?
Think about that.
Who knows? So, this reminds me of another old man named Sam in there. He was like not all there. You know what I mean? The prison system doesn't care. So he's just like living his life in there, and it's like they don't try to locate his family to tell him that he's in prison or nothing. The guy's just crazy, just in there, like cleaning up after people and shit.
Law, just an afterthought to society.
There's so many people in there. I had another good friend of mine, Eddie. He read the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. He read all the religious texts in the world. And he taught me so many good lessons. I would sit with him for hours, bro. And he would I'd get these spiritual
What's
thoughts.
what's one that, when you think of Eddie and a lesson that...
Immediately, I think of the question, who are you? And I'd be like, oh, I'm Cuban, or my name's Nelson. No. He'd immediately tell me to shut up and stop talking. Who are you? I'm a prisoner in the BOP. No, who are you? He made me understand that, like, that question, who are you, is so deep. You have to really think and put serious effort into that question.
Are you familiar with Nardwar?
No.
Tremendo hip hop interview. One of my goals in life as an artist is to get to a point where Nardwar knows who I am and does an interview with me. But he does extensive information and tremendo. Great interview, man.
That's cool.
But he got Hove. He got Hove to do a thing at a festival. So they're behind the scenes at a festival, and he always starts every interview the same way. Who are you? And Hove, powerful guy. I think Hove is the most successful rapper of all time, and
it's hard to argue that.
He asks him that question. He has a cigar in hand, and he has his other hand in his pocket, and like of a cardigan or something like that. And he goes, "Me, I'm just a young man from Marcy Projects who chases his dreams and turns something into, tremendo spiel." He goes in for like 2-3 minutes, and then Nardwar's just like, "You're Jay-Z," like it's yeah. And then Jay-Z even catches him stuff. He goes, "Oh, I thought it was just a more deeper question that you were asking." We're gonna cut to it.
Who am I? I'm a young man from Marcy Projects who really made the thing that thing that they say the American dream come true, because I'm not supposed to be here speaking to you. There's a lot of people that come from where I come. There's a lot of skilled people who come from where I come who are not here right now.
You are Jay-Z.
Oh, I thought you meant like, who am I? I thought it was a deeper question.
We're gonna swipe back.
That's funny.
But yeah, shout out Nardwar, legend, man. But yeah, it's just important to analyze yourself, and like we were talking earlier, you gotta check in with yourself and look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself who you are, and that's allowed to change. We're constantly growing and evolving and
100%.
Developing as a person. There's no way
you're
not supposed to be the same person.
I've evolved just in this past year since I got out. I've evolved 3 times over. Like I'm 3 times the man I was a year ago. So you're always evolving. If you're not evolving, you're dying, and that's the purpose of life, really. Evolution, man.
And part of evolving is knowledge and wisdom. What's the difference between the two?
Knowledge, you think you know. Wisdom, you know. Wisdom is brought through experience. Knowledge is brought through studying or through learning. Like when you really know something, you're wise. That means you experienced it. That's the key there. Experience what separates knowledge from wisdom.
The experience. It's like lose the E. You would think add the E, but technically the spelling, got to lose the E.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it's the application and learning, because you could only go to school and learn. My dad, legendary when it comes to audio engineering and when it comes to making music. If I had $1 for how many people spent thousands of dollars, close to millions, on learning how to audio engineer, and then they get out of school and then they don't know how to fly a hook over, and they need my dad to teach something as simple as transitioning a hook and copying and pasting to the next part of where the hook should be.
100%.
It's mind-boggling to me that people go through all that time, but that's just a testament to application and experience, because you can only read so many books, but if you're not applying
there's theory and there's practice.
Facts.
It's 2 totally different things.
Incredible.
And that's that's a great example of people knowing, right, and wisdom. That right there is the key, because your father's been through the experience, so that's what makes him wise.
And speaking of the apex historical figures, my bad. You're gonna say something? Go ahead, give it to me.
I was just gonna end the whole wisdom topic with the richest man in history, King Solomon. What did he ask God for? Wisdom.
Richest man in history was King Solomon.
Yeah. He's richer than any man after him and any man before him. A friend of mine was actually on my podcast, and he says he did the calculations, and he had something like $3 trillion worth of gold. Like, no one's ever gonna amass that. Like, one person. It's one thing for a company like Amazon,
power at one given time. Yeah, you're saying a whole entity company. You're saying one person to have that.
Yeah, I'm not saying Apple. I'm not saying Amazon. And mind you, this is like, how long ago?
Who is his descendants? Does he have descendants? Who are they? We gotta get them on the podcast.
Considered God's friend.
Yeah, so he asked for wisdom. Richest man in history. So, just a little lesson to all of you. Wisdom.
That actually reminds me of something really powerful that I heard maybe in the last 2 years. It really changed my life. And it's like, when you're sick, you could have everything in the world, but when you're sick, the only thing you want is good health. And it's like, you gotta just have your mind, your perspective on the important stuff, because
100%.
Albeit eso, bro.
100%.
You could have all the money in the world, but if you're dying tomorrow, what good is it?
What good is it? Nothing. All this, people value this bullshit, bro. This is bullshit. This is mierda. Like,
what's the chain? What's that logo? Or
Ochosi.
Oh,
he's a saint.
Okay, he's un santo. That's a bow and arrow.
The hunter.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in my show. You'll see him. He's in my comic book. Yeah.
Dope.
He's a warrior.
So Santos aside, give me some historical figures, because you've talked multiple times on your pod, specifically on Montana Method.
Historical figures?
Out now. About historical figures, you like history. Give me one that, maybe it's a powerful one that you like personally.
That's a hard one.
Real life historical figures.
I'm a history buff.
I love it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I love history. I love learning about what motivated people to do things. I loved learning about Julius Caesar and him borrowing money until he conquered foreign land and got rich. Like, he believed in himself so much that he's like, I will borrow infinite amounts of money until I go and I conquer foreign land and I become the richest and most powerful man in Rome.
Like the guy from FedEx, the founder of FedEx, was like, he was about to go bankrupt, and then he put it all on like a crazy bet, and,
bro.
And he won.
Yeah.
And now there's FedEx.
Like and then we're not talking about borrowing money to like buy some product and sell it at a premium. No. He's borrowing money to go kill a bunch of motherfuckers.
Dominate.
Take over foreign land.
Taker.
Because think about it, he could have died at any moment. He's going to war. And mind you, Julius Caesar was a guy who led from the front, like Alexander the Great.
How did he die? He died from AIDS or something.
Right? No. Julius Caesar was betrayed.
He got stabbed up.
And he got stabbed up in his court.
Oh, he's the one that got stabbed up. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. Not awesome. Bad. But awesome that you know history like that. That's why my mind said that.
Yeah.
Not awesome getting stabbed.
If anybody wants to catch up on history and doesn't have the patience to read, Robert Greene's books are very good. Like The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, The 32 Strategies of War. That's my favorite one. Mastery. He's big on history, and he'll tell you all the stories. If I had to pick one person from all of history, bro, it's hard because there's so many different people who did so many different things. Because but if you put a gun to my head, I would have to say somebody like Alexander the Great.
Why Alexander the Great?
Because he conquered the known world at age 26, brother. And then we sit here and bitch and moan because we don't have the fucking discipline or the motivation to start a website for our fucking business.
Well, you know what Alexander the Great didn't do? He didn't start a podcast.
Yeah, but he took over a fucking continent. I think that's a lot harder than starting a podcast. You know what I mean?
Hey, I don't know. I'm starting a podcast now. Let me tell you, buddy. I don't know how you got 4 seasons deep already. It's just tough work.
Consistency, brother. Here's some stats, and you're gonna like this. You ready for this?
Give it to me.
You ready for this?
Guess.
Apple Podcasts has 2 million podcasts in the Apple Podcast library. 500,000 never did more than one episode.
Yeah.
So 25% are eliminated. They're not even our competition. Let's start there. Let's go with another 2/3 of what's left never made it past 10 episodes. So that means 75% of the Apple Podcast library has less content than you and me.
You're passionate about this. You turned up the volume. Crazy, like.
Because podcasting is a matter of consistency. People see Joe Rogan now as the biggest podcast in the world, but they
Been
don't see
doing
him.
it since 2009.
They don't see him 10 years ago when he looked like a retard in his office in his house.
Ugly episodes are hard to watch.
Yeah, so
I mean, early episodes, not ugly.
it's about
episodes.
consistency. I'll outlast you, brother. Not you. I'm saying whoever. Yeah, you know
Me
what I mean?
too. Yeah.
I mean, I started before you, so you're never gonna outlast me.
No,
But you know.
no. Yeah, facts.
But if we started at the same time, we could. But
Speaking of outlasting, why 2.0? What was Montana Method 1.0? Why? Is
I
it-
just do it by seasons. It's Montana Method 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0.
Oh, word.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So-
So
We level up. You know what I mean? So
crazy. So you're gonna be like 17.0 one day.
I'll probably change the premise of it.
Why
at
not
some
just
point.
keep it just Montana Method?
Just because it's never the same. It's Montana Method, but we evolve.
But like like The Sopranos has multiple seasons. They never say Sopranos, and then
Yeah.
we break it down in season 7.
True.
Back to full circle moment. Back to outlining things. That kind of the way my mind works. It's
Right.
it's easier to consolidate it as one whole thing, and then just break it down like that. But okay, I also wanted to ask too a lot of things about using the difficulty, specifically with podcasting and embracing the hard stuff. Can you touch on that?
I mean, man, how
Having hard conversations, like I'm finding like it's the questions you don't want to ask, like getting locked up. Like I challenge myself to find other things to ask about. I feel like that's low hanging fruit, but then you get so much
it's
knowledge
funny.
and
Most
so
people
much juice from that.
don't even want to bring it up
Because
They
it's an
think-
uncomfortable situation,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
so much content and good knowledge comes from it.
The hard conversations is where the juice of life is. Like if you can work up the courage and just the goal to be like, man, all right, I'm gonna say this. He might get angry at me. I'm risking a lot here, but most of the time, that's where you get the best content. 100%.
Seek discomfort. I say that a lot. It's also part of a YouTube channel I follow. Yes Theory. That's kind of their brand. But the truth is, I preach it to everybody I meet in life. Seek discomfort. Seek discomfort. Constantly try to make yourself uncomfortable because that's
bro.
how you get better. And like just to use a simple example, the gym. That little time you devote to making yourself uncomfortable there makes the rest of life easier because life's
100%.
going to be uncomfortable, guaranteed.
100%.
When that uncomfortable stuff comes, you got to be prepared to deal with it in a more equipped manner.
The more difficult situations you put yourself in, the easier life is. Like the harder you are on yourself, the easier life is. The easier you are on yourself, the harder life is. So I purposely, like, I work out and I podcast, I work hard. I do these things because it's the hard path. And if I take the hard path, I know the rewards are going to be worth it. If I take the easy path, what rewards are there? Like, that side of the world is already overcrowded, brother. There's no resources over there in the easy side of the world. The resources are on the hard side.
It's about the journey, not the destination
100%.
as well.
100%.
Who? Speaking of the podcast, who are some white buffalo guests? Like, are you familiar with the white buffalo term? Like, or
No.
some that's like a guest that you really want. Like, so some like dream guests.
Ooh, I mean,
I would think Al Pacino, Tony Montana
that
himself.
would be, if I got Al Pacino on a podcast, I think I'd retire.
Would you be down for me to come in, or we get somebody else? Maybe not me. Somebody that could play Tony Montana, and you just do a podcast with Tony Montana. Hey, what the fuck is this? I just came to America. It's a podcast. It's a podcast. Are you with the police?
That's crazy.
Where's Sosa? You feel me?
No, I don't know. Maybe I'd be down.
Crazy.
For it. Yeah. No, but Al Pacino, yeah, that's 100%. That's the white buffalo.
Well, I kind of threw that at you, but give
No, there's no throwing, bro. Al Pacino is literally inspired me and put me on a whole path in life, bro. Like, obviously,
give me another one though. Forcing your hand here.
I mean, I'll never get this, but
Don't never say never, homie. That's what you're on the aircast for. They're gonna hear this.
he died. You know,
We'll bring him back.
James Gandolfini.
Damn,
Yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Soprano. Wow,
Yeah, 100%.
legendary.
100%.
Anybody else that's alive? Maybe
That's alive.
could reach out to them before they die.
That's a good question.
I know they're listening.
I just have such a long list of people that I'd love to sit down and have a conversation.
Shoot your
with.
shot,
It's-
baby. This is your chance.
It'd be rough.
You're not missing anybody out. You're just picking one right now off the top. Oh yeah, his son.
Yeah. His son.
Oh, are we talking about his son in the show that just started a podcast, Rob Eiler, or his real son that played him in the movie?
No, if I had to pick one person, it'd probably be like Michael Scorsese because he's so tied to so many people.
Martin Scorsese.
I'm sorry.
Director.
No, wait. Was it Michael? No, because I was thinking of two different people. But yeah, I was thinking.
Martin Scorsese is gangster.
Martin Scorsese is tied to everybody else that I want to interview. So he'd be able to tell me about Ray Liotta. He'd be able to tell me about Joe Pesci. He'd be able to tell me about Robert De Niro. He'd be able to tell me about everybody. Like everybody that I would want to interview, they have worked with Scorsese. So
arguably top 3 directors in my opinion, if not one for me. He's just really good. I love Tarantino, but he doesn't have the body of work that Scorsese has.
You can't compare Scorsese. Scorsese has everything he's ever brought out. Like, bro, Casino.
That's my favorite movie. Yeah.
Goodfellas.
Yeah, I love Goodfellas.
Not to mention Wolf of Wall Street. Like,
yeah.
The extensive body of it's crazy. It's crazy.
Up there.
And then The Irishman, which people talk shit about, but that was a phenomenal movie.
I haven't been able to get through it, man.
Bro,
it's too
phenomenal
long.
movie. It's I know it's 3 hours, but The Wolf of Wall Street's 3 hours.
There's certain movie. There's a lot of movies that are 3 hours. Oppenheimer. Yeah. I just saw the last one he did.
I just saw Oppenheimer, but it was good. But I don't, bro. I think these award shows don't make any sense. Whenever like Al Pacino didn't get an Oscar or an Academy Award for Godfather, but he got one for Scent of a Woman, which by the way is a hell of a movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but like he should have gotten it for Godfather. Godfather is considered the best movie ever created. How did you not give him an Academy Award for that movie? You know what I mean?
The thing is, it's kind of like the argument, like when it comes to sports, it's hard to give somebody an MVP when that person has other ballers on their team. You know, because they're kind of putting in. I feel like with The Godfather, it's like a lot of people made that movie powerful.
Fair enough.
And he had a good role, but you could argue he wasn't maybe the number one role, because when you think of The Godfather, you think of...
Even in part 1, it was Vito Corleone, I get it. And even in part 2, it was Robert De Niro. So, yeah, that's fair.
That's kind of, in defense of the other
even
side.
Even though Scent of a Woman, let me tell you, that's a hell of a movie. Like, bro, that scene where he's like, I'm in the dark here, bro. Crazy. Good movie. Very good movie.
Speaking of all the people that are making podcasts now, because everybody's doing it. LeBron just started a podcast. Dwight from The Office just started a podcast. Harry Mack, so many people. Officialheir, I know that guy. What's one piece of advice you'd like to give to everybody that's hopping in the game, trying to get to your level one day?
Don't do it because it's a fad. Don't do it because it's cool. Do it because you want to do it. If you're doing it because it's cool, pack up. Don't even buy your equipment. Don't even start. Don't even learn how to. Don't do any of that. If you're doing it because it's cool, go do something else.
I love that.
If you're doing it because you really want to do it and you're passionate about it and you really believe that you're going to do this long term, do it. Other than that, you're wasting time. I told you already. 2 million podcasts in the Apple Podcast Library. 500,000 never made more than one episode. So be a statistic, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
data or data.
I say data, but whatever.
Data or data. Shout out to my dad. Speaking of podcasting, do you listen to podcasts?
Of course. Yeah.
All right, so every episode we do a big 3, basically a draft. So we pick one, back and forth. Let's do podcasts. Big 3 podcasts. Guess always goes first. What's your number 1 podcast choice? We can't pick our own.
Joe Rogan.
Rogan. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I'm going to shout out. Also, shout out to my dad's Fuego Talk. We're going to leave his off the board so we could, put
it doesn't count. Come on.
It does. But yeah. So my first pick, I'm going to say Rick Glassman. That's my goat for podcasting. Besides my dad, he motivated me a lot with what could be done with podcasting. Before, I just looked at it like it's just conversating. He showed me, you could take it to a different level with editing, with conversations, with flashbacks, with,
Yeah.
Number 2, go to your second pick.
PBD podcast. Patrick Bet-David.
It's the Patrick Bet-David podcast.
Yeah, it's called the PBD podcast.
Yeah, Valuetainment.
Well, he's killing it, bro.
Powerful guy.
Killing it.
Smart
like
dude.
The whole, we talked about it. The whole thing he's doing with the Diddy situation. He interviewed. He just did Dame Dash. Got Suge Knight.
He's on his Nick Fury shit right now, where he's doing tremendous team.
Bro.
He got Chris Cuomo and you just said Don Lemon, right?
Don
Wow,
Lemon.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that guy.
That's mind blowing.
He made Tucker Carlson $100 million offer. Like that guy. Kudos to him, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, making bread, man. Hey, Patrick Bet-David, if you're listening, we know you are. Come to our podcast, man. We'll do a joint Montana Method Aircast episode.
The only thing I don't like, the other day he said he wants to turn Fort Lauderdale into Burbank. Yo, chill with that shit. Don't be bringing California over here, dog.
Chill, man.
Don't need that.
305, baby.
And even if it's Fort Lauderdale, but Fort Lauderdale is on our border, so they're we gotta look out for them.
Cool.
We gotta look out for them.
My second pick, I'm gonna say Taste Buds. Incredibly unique concept. They debate. It started with food, but they do all kinds of shit now. So it's done by Sal Vulcano from Impractical Jokers and Joe DeRosa, popular comedian and actor. Great podcast. Who's your third pick? Rounding it off.
I listened to a few, but just because we're for the sake of time.
Who's making the team?
A recent one that I've gotten into that's pretty good is the George Janko show, bro.
George Janko, that's the guy that was with Impulsive, right? With
Yeah,
the Paul
yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Pobrecito, they did him dirt and he left.
Well, let me tell you, he's doing great.
Yeah, but that's good. Yeah,
He's doing
that's
phenomenal.
God in the universe. You know, it all
Yeah.
comes out. I always say
course.
God's the best screenwriter of all time.
150%, bro. He's killing it. His show's doing phenomenal. He started a clothing line. Like, he's killing it. And the guests, he had Patrick Bet-David on.
He's had some crazy
Tony
guests.
Robbins.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate. Like,
Yeah, he's had some crazy
yeah,
guests.
like the best guests you can have. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My third pick for a podcast, you know, I'm gonna show them love. Flagrant. They've really fell off for me,
Bro,
but I like
I was
Flagrant
about to
for a
pick
long
them.
time.
I was about to pick them.
It's a draft. Well, but yeah, I mean, I liked them for a lot, but they fell off to me. But I gotta give them love because at the end of the day, that homie vibe, vibe with your dogs
boys,
that they give, that's something I strive for when I do multi guests. And even this one, it's one-on-one. Like I want it to be. Yes, I want it to be an interview and in depth, but I feel like a podcast could be either a conversation or an interview.
Yes.
I strive to find a middle balance and a middle ground where yes, we get in depth, but we're vibing and hanging out. And
100%.
they, you know, when they were in their prime, they were doing that perfectly. And when they're in their bag, they do it as well. So, you know,
Right.
shout out Schultz and Flagrant. I just saw him live with my pops. It was a pretty cool experience.
Fire. Yeah, I've heard he's funny, obviously, but I've heard his live shows are nuts. They're like
Yeah,
super funny.
the biggest comedy show I've ever been to in my life.
Fire.
Ever.
He's one of the guys, one of the comedians that really like took comedy to another level and kept us sane during the pandemic. Like he made people throughout all that cancel culture shit. He was the main guy that's like, listen, guys, we need to like everybody can get made fun of. That's what comedy is, and he stuck to his guns, and that's why he's so successful.
And innovated. The whole flipping your phone sideways, he was the first to do that.
Yep.
And now a lot of things are doing that. But
Yeah.
he was just kind of what we were talking about earlier, another full circle moment. But he was doing bullet point topics and covering different things in a new style, but in his own format, which
Right.
incredible. And we always wrap it up with, you know, a piece of advice that you want to give, or not advice, could be a message that you want to give to the world. It doesn't have to be positive. I've said before, it could be whatever you want, man. Positive, inspiring, something you want to give out to the world so we can close up.
Life is short, man. Find what you're passionate about and chase it with all you got. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you're not chasing a dream, life is meaningless. Yep.
Montana Method. Episodes out everywhere. Get the book if you haven't already. And we'll see you next week. It's the Aircast, baby. Thanks for listening.
Say
Peace.
goodnight to the bad guy.